Good morning, everyone. I hope you could hear me okay. If you could hear me okay, let me know in the chat and we will quickly get started. All good. Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in for another week. I know it's a holiday season in a way that a lot of people are on holidays and still you are joining us and trying to understand various technical concept and understand how a solution architect role works or how other aspect in AWS works. So thank you so much for that. And I hope that you would enjoy the next 2 hours. We are looking for more input. So if you have anything we could do differently, we would be happy to include those components or training or maybe anything which you we know about and you can be getting help from that. We would be so happy to include that, but let's provide feedback so that we could work on that and we could give you the best return on the time you're investing for 2 hours. Thank you, everyone. Let's quickly get started. I'll talk about what is going to be today. And welcome, Parna. Parna is helping us today, as always, from the back end, and she is helping with the chat support. So if you have any questions, any doubts, please put them into chat, and we would respond to that as we move forward. Thank you so much. Let's quickly get started here. I'm adding screen to the stream. What we are going to discuss today. So today is week 4. Can't believe that it is already almost a month when we started. So today we are on week number 4, and we would be then seeing that, hey, what can be done in today's week, what we are going to discuss about. First, we'll discuss about fundamentals track. I'll talk about that. We will be talking about different abilities. Now, the name was not very unique here. All XXX ability. So when we talk about scalability, durability, reliability, availability, observability, they seem same, but they do not have exact same meaning. So we'll talk about that. What is WAF? Kishan, we will talk about that. That is coming into the next section, which is the security track. So specialist track is security. We will talk about protection at edge, and Qusay will join us. We call him Q, and he would be helping us today with understanding that specialty track. And that is where WAF would be covered, Kishan, sorry, so that you would get to know about it. And then we are trying to give you more understanding on various roles available. It is not only solution architect working in AWS. There are people in different profile making good contribution, excellent contribution to community and technology world. So today we would have Marco. Marco would help us in understanding how a day of technical instructor looks like, what skills he has, what kind of challenges he faces, what he is doing on a day-to-day basis. So that is what we are going to discuss today in this 2 hour session. And we would be posting recording afterward. Some of you are joining us from Twitch, some of you are joining from LinkedIn, some of you are from YouTube. So welcome everyone. And if you like something, please take screenshot, put it on the social media so that more people would be aware about it and would know about what are the components, what you are doing, what you are attending. It will also give you good networking, and it will obviously be helping PESA program also. So let's quickly move forward. I'll remove myself from camera so that you could focus more on the content part rather than my expressionless face. So let's keep moving forward now. What we are going to discuss here, that first is what are different type of ability. So I am talking about fundamental tracks. I would be talking about availability, right? We will be then talking about durability, then scalability, then reliability, and then observability. When you are in an interview, these terms may sound similar, but there is a basic differentiation between them. So we will talk about how the differentiation works, and obviously I will try to give you some examples first, some analogies, so that you would all understand things into better. And I hope you would retain that knowledge for a longer period of time when you learn through analogies. So that's what we are going to discuss here. Give me a minute. I have to just make little changes in my monitor setting, and I will be back with you in a minute. I have just made little different changes yesterday for something, and now I'm trying to make this thing again available. Give me a minute. Yep, I'm done. Hopefully everyone is not having any issues at all and everyone is seeing the screen I'm sharing. Let's first talk about availability, right? I'll give you an example so that you could relate to it. We all ride bicycles, probably in some places in or some in the maybe not now, but maybe in the childhood you started learning bicycle. Bicycles are good. I used to ride a lot. I just stopped it from like last year or so. But yeah, this will basically give you good health. It would keep you fit, and it would obviously be not contributing to a lot of carbon pollution into the atmosphere. So it is a good mechanism of working. Again, it depends. If it is weather like London, which is always gloomy and then rainy, maybe not that best. But if you are in part of the world where it is possible, you could use bicycle to go to work. Like if you have been to Amsterdam, there is a there is more bicycle in that city than the people living inside it. So that's how it is. They're crazy about bicycles. Now, this bicycle is a good choice for transportation, very easy to transport, carry, and all. But if there is a flat tire, there is a challenge with me. Right. So bicycle may get flat tire. Now, if you are into a city limit, probably you would find a shop who could help you in getting that flat tire again ready. But if you are not within a city limit or not within a repair shop, what you need to do, you need to probably carry a pump or maybe a solution or maybe some way to open the wheel and fix the problem you are having. So that would require you downtime. You were going to place X, your bicycle had a punctured tire, you have to stop, get it repaired by someone or do it yourself, and then you will keep moving forward to your destination, right? So there was a downtime if your wheel had got punctured. Okay, how we can minimize the downtime? Nobody likes downtime, so let's see what we can do to minimize the downtime. And the next thing we will do for minimizing downtime, obviously it's not bicycle, but here what I'm trying to explain you, that on this vehicle we have a spare wheel. Now be clear here, spare wheel doesn't guarantee that you would never have a flat tire. Spare wheel only guarantees that if there is a flat tire, you have a spare wheel, and maybe within 10 minutes you should be able to back on the track, or you would not require a lot of downtime. So, what we are doing here, by keeping a spare wheel, we are trying to minimize the downtime in case something goes wrong with your wheel. What you would be doing, you would be stopping your car, right? That is a mandatory thing. So, there is still a downtime, and once you have stopped the car, you would replace your wheel and then you will keep moving forward. So having a spare wheel has given you little bit of more less, it has given you less downtime on a high on a journey you were doing. But one thing we have to be very clear here, we mostly keep one spare wheel in our car. We won't be having two, three, or four spare wheel. And having a spare wheel doesn't guarantee that I would never have a flat tire. And having one spare wheel doesn't also guarantee that I would only have one flat tire. What if I have two flat tire? Then my downtime would be increased. So we are looking for what is the most probable thing happening. Maybe if I am doing cross country drives, I'm going on long distances, maybe I would prefer to keep two wheels with me. Otherwise, one wheel is good enough to get started. But the point I'm trying to clarify here is that wheel is just ensuring that your downtime is less, but it is not guaranteeing that you will be having failure. So obviously you need to stop your car and move forward. Now, when I say stopping your car, there would be something different also. Let me give that example. Don't try this at home. I have taken this video from YouTube, and probably you should be able to also find this video. Now it is not working on full screen. Give me a minute. I'll get it for you on the video track, so you would know that what is not the best way to change your tire. But yeah, this is no downtime changing of tire which is happening here. I'll quickly show that to you in a video. Give it few thoughts, see how risky it is. Don't try it at home. But yeah, this is what somebody is doing when they say, hey, we don't want a downtime at all for our application. So this is how you are on a drive. You are trying to figure out like what we could do to change the tire. Not the best ones. Let me switch off the volume, and now you see here. So what is happening that these guys are driving at a high speed and figuring out a way to replace the tire. They have come up here, and let me make speed little faster so that you won't be wasting a lot of time here. This is what is happening. They are all coming out of the vehicle, then trying to go to the wheels while it is driving at a full speed, and then they would try to replace the wheel, right? So even if you have a flat tire in this particular case, there is no downtime at all. We do not have a downtime happening here. Now, is it risky? Obviously, too much risky. Is it practical? Obviously, not at all practical. But I'm trying to clarify here is that Here we still have a flat tire, but we are not having any downtime at all. That's how these people are trying to do these things, right? So hopefully you're getting the idea of what is a downtime. Here vehicle is still driving, there's no challenges, we do not have to worry about at all anything in the sense of downtime, but it is not at all something which you should be planning on real life. All right, good. Let's keep moving forward then. Where this happens in some parts of the world, little complicated, but yeah, that is how it is. Okay, so hope you get the idea of what is availability. So let me now go to the formal definition. How are they changing the time if the wheel is still moving? See, half shaft. Yeah, I think half shaft or maybe that vehicle has a control. Like there is no. They could like have a different wheel drive. So that is one thing I am thinking about, Andy. So that is how they may be changing. But yeah, not at all. I'm trying to do that. Thanks, Nivedita. So, question comes, what is availability? So, let's say you have to host meeting with someone or you have to go to someone's place, and obviously, first question you would ask them, are you available? So, when you say, are you available? Basically, they would have a time slot when they are okay to meet you. So, what is happening here? That here we may have a business which is having availability like this. So in this place, we have availability. It is starting on Monday morning 6 up to 17 o'clock into the evening. So it is till 5 p.m. Tuesday, little different timing, Wednesday, different, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday. These are the timings they have. So I would say from looking at the picture, they are more available on Monday than Saturday and Sunday. That is a completely thing, right? We are seeing here. And same way, you may have another company. This company says, hey, we would always have some lunch period time and we won't be available in this time. So this particular company has less availability than anyone else, or from the previous example I have shown you. So this is what our availability is. Let's now put some formal definitions on top of it. So what is availability? If I go with dictionary definition, it just says quality of being available. Are you available? You go to a doctor and say, are you available? You go to a shop and say, are you available in morning at this particular time? So that is what we mean by availability. When I go in technical terms and talk about AWS definition, it says availability is the percentage of time what a workload is available for you. So if it is available, can I access it? Can I perform some operation on the workload? Can I get the output I'm expecting? That is what we mean by being available. So availability is the percentage of time that a workload is available for use. Now, when we talk about availability, we also have to consider both type of downtime, scheduled downtime and unscheduled downtime. Like when we talk about some devices, maybe you have to let them cool before you could reuse them, right? So that is what is a scheduled downtime, and if they have is a fault, then they would not be working. That is what we mean by a unscheduled downtime. So both would be calculated when becoming available. Either you are taking a voluntary off or you are having a medical issue and that's why you have to take off. That is all considered as availability. So it would have both planned as well as unplanned or scheduled or unscheduled downtime as we look here. How we measure it, how we quantify availability. Now availability is measured in two nines. You may have heard about that. So we talk about that percentage of uptime is 99.9%, and that is over a period of time, mostly commonly a month or a year. And how you calculate it, obviously you don't have to do it right now, but availability is basically total available for use time upon total time we are expecting. It could be a year, and when it comes to quantifying this particular number, then we use a nine mechanism, and that is what we mean by this. So when somebody says that their system or application or infrastructure, whatever service they are offering, is available 99% of the time, it is expected that this is the 3 days, 15 hours of maximum unavailability, maybe due to schedule, due to maintenance cycle, due to power interruption, due to flooding, whatever it is. But this is what they are looking for: 3 days to 15 hours, 3 days, 15 hours maximum unavailability per year. How we would be, what kind of application would be well suited for it? Let's say you are running some data extraction ETL job, some the batch processing job. They are good to be running in this phase because we do not expect them their output to be available that very moment. So maybe 99% availability is good for them. But when we are looking for other system, let's say a knowledge management system or a project tracking, We don't expect them to be down for 3 days. That would delay a lot of things. There would be a lot of implication. So when we say it is a 99.9% available, the maximum unavailability is 8 hour 45 minutes. So that's how we are trying to figure out a number which will quantify that how much is there. Now, always think that they promise you this availability, nobody guarantees you this availability. You will always see the documentation would have small footprint that this is what we are aiming for, right? So it's not like if I have planned and given you that I would give you 99% availability and I'm not able to meet that, you would get me hanged on a public place. No, it's not like that. It is a SLA. They would try to adhere to it, but if they cannot, they will try to compensate you in some shape or form. Like if you have a SLA of a service, and if they are not able to meet, then they would be giving you some discount. Like if you remember, there is a famous pizza shop in India which says 30 minutes or free. That is the SLA. So they will try to deliver the pizza in 30 minutes, but if they are not able to deliver it as a compensation, they would give it to you free. That is what we mean by a SLA or service level agreement as we are using, right? So 30 minutes for free, that is the SLA of that pizza shop. Moving forward, when somebody talks about that we are looking for 5 9 of availability, that is where we are expecting the downtime whole year will be less than 5 minutes or around 5 minutes, right? So depends. ATM transaction, telecommunication workload, they would all be there and they would be expected to be 5 9 available. These are very important things, right? In Bangalore, it's always free. I like that. Yeah, Bangalore traffic is crazy, completely crazy. I've been living there for 4 years, 3 years of my life, and yeah, it is a crazy traffic there. Yeah, so availability is basically measurement, and this is measured in a real number, or we call it rational number. That is how we are measuring availability, and availability is basically SLA. Question is that which of the 99s is considered highly available in AWS? Sebastian, I would say it depends. Different services have their different SLA, and we'll talk about some of them as we move forward. But yeah, it depends. It will depend on organization. So I may use the same services, Sebastian, and may not be looking for availability of 5 9. So maybe I created a server with EC2, and this is my internal application. I am okay to keep it on 99% availability. Same EC2 maybe I am using for video delivery or broadcasting, and that time I may want to add additional services on that, like auto scaling group, maybe load balancer, maybe multi-AZ deployment, maybe a automation of fixing and all, and then make the same service available higher than what was there. So it all depends. Thanks, Parna, for answering that. Right now, keep moving forward. Let's talk about now when we talk about availability. Sometimes people also get confused with something called fault tolerance. Fault tolerance, I call fault tolerance as the big brother of availability. The topmost level of availability you could achieve is what we call a fault tolerant system. Let's see what fault tolerant system is. So consider the highest level of availability is fault tolerance. Fault tolerance is a binary choice. It's a binary number. It is either you have fault tolerance or you do not have fault tolerance. That's how it is calculated. Whereas availability is always calculated in percentage. Again, let me give you some examples so you could relate to what a fault tolerance may mean. Right. So let's talk about fault tolerance, which is a big brother of availability. Airlines are the most easiest example to understand fault tolerance. Mostly you will find these commercial aircraft have two engines, right? So idea is thus both engines are required for a flight to operate normally, but it is designed in a way that even if one of the engine is not working or has fire or caught a bird or hit by a bird, still they would have sufficient power, thrust, and resources available to get to a nearest airport safely. This is a common thing. So airplanes are designed with that because here the risk is much higher. You can't have a short stop or in the sky if something goes wrong. So those systems have to be designed with high fault tolerance, and that is a fault tolerance built in here. So they would have probably two engines in this commercial liner. In some bigger planes it may be four engine also or three engine also, so it depends, but this is what a commonly thing is happening. Let's expand this example of aircraft. You see two pilot, a pilot and a co-pilot. Concept is still the same, that if somebody has an issue, somebody is not able to perform his or her duty on a proper way, they still should be able to get up to the nearest airport. Maybe medical emergencies can happen anywhere, so that's why they have a rule of two here, which is allowing to. If you go further in airline, they are the perfect examples of how they maintain fault tolerance. They use two navigation system in their airplanes, right? So there would be always two. If one of them failed due to maybe earth magnetic issues, or maybe some challenges, or maybe due to a mechanical or a structural fault, it would still be able to get into the navigation. Now if you do not have these, that is a very complicated thing. If you are like little more of the discovery type person, or who want to learn more, check for some system from Boeing which has caused, which they implemented in a single way, and that has created two aircraft getting crashed. So check that story, you may find it on Netflix, about Boeing, that how they have used a system called AMCAC, and that was only available for, or that only had one receptive antenna, and when it started giving fault, it resulted into aircraft being crashed. So hopefully this has given you some idea that two navigation system. Let me expand it. If you know more on that, they will be serving different meals for pilot at different time. They don't want both pilot to enjoy their meal and not worry about the flight. And if there is a food poisoning happens, they don't serve the same food for all of them or both the pilot. So that is again another layer of fault tolerance they have built in. So different food at different time, ensuring that there is no problem with the pilot when they are flying the plane. And there is a rule of two. So if some pilot has to take a break and go out, they have to call a member of staff inside the cockpit. So there are at least two people always in the cockpit. What if it was only one person and it had a cardiac arrest or something and not able to open the door? So that time they follow the rule of two. So civil aviation has very strict rules. If you look into it, that is all moving toward the fault tolerance concept. So that is a rule of two. So what I mean by fault tolerance here, a system which is always available, not having any downtime. So fault tolerance means the system will almost always maintain uptime, and users will not notice anything different during a primary system outage. If something goes wrong, you won't notice anything, it would still keep on functioning. It may be little slower in performance, but it would still be going on with the performance or with the expectation which is required. So that's how it would be looking like. And to implement fault tolerance, how it is implemented, we talked about redundancy, right? So we have two aircraft engines, we have two pilots, we have rule of two. That is while ensuring that we are ensuring a fault tolerance system in our environment. So that's how we are utilizing that, right? In cloud, we have application hosted in two regions, same as two engine and aircraft. It can be Navina, it can be, means that could be one reason. I would still not call it fault tolerance. I would still call it highly available, because when this happens, then if your region one is down, it will take little time for that detection, and some requests may still fail. So that may still happen, and that's why I won't call it a fault tolerance architecture if it is two region. I would still call it a highly available architecture. Fault tolerance is not implemented for everything. Fault tolerance would be implemented for very crucial component within your system, and we will probably have time to discuss about that. So if you come, this fault tolerance initial idea started from physical world. If you have seen servers, server would always have these type of power supply. There are two power supply, so even if one of them fails, you won't notice. Maybe you will get an alert on your system which you are using for monitoring, but your system would keep on functioning. That is a very smooth switchover which happens. So your servers mostly would have fault tolerance in that. Fault tolerance is for workload management, I guess. In a way, yes, I would say it is more devish on the component size. So when you are using some component which can be getting failed, and that is where fault tolerance is implemented. Let's take one more example here, right? So see this RAID example. Hope you, yeah, that is exactly why I was saying LinkedIn user. So hot disk, this is how the example is. What we are doing here, as soon as the request is coming in, we store the same data into two disks. right? As you see here, and that is ensuring even if disk 1 fails completely, I am still having my data available. So that is what we mean by a fault tolerance system. So fault tolerance is big brother of availability. Fault tolerance has zero downtime that is expected, or even if it is a downtime, it won't be noticeable to end user. It would still keep on functioning. So refers to systems to continue operate despite failure or malfunction. That is exactly. So yes, that is it. Workload management is with load balancer. Yes, it could be, but then you may have to take care of session state also, Matthew. So just by implementing a load balancer doesn't mean that you are fault tolerant. You may have to design your application component in also such a way that it would be able to pick up the session state from a database or maybe from a persistent storage and then move forward from there. So that's how your fault tolerance would work. All right. I hope everyone is following along. What is fault tolerance? Let's talk about it. Reducing the unavailability is called fault tolerance. I won't say that, Kishan. I would say that zero downtime is fault tolerance, right? Zero downtime is what fault tolerance is. Reducing unavailability, you are still going for high availability. It is not fault tolerance. Fault tolerance, there is no downtime, zero downtime. Like some software implement by a different mechanism. Let me quickly draw that. Let me show that to you. So what happens in some software, they would have one server running on one application running like this, and maybe they have another application running on another server. So this is my server 1, this is my server 2, this is my application 1, this is my application 1 copy. And they implement in such a manner that there is no delay at all. They both would be having the same IP address. They would have same DNS name, and then probably everything is right now being served by this. But if this goes down, your request will automatically be served by second. It sounds like high availability, but this is a fault tolerant architecture. If you implemented it, there is no downtime. Whatever memory is being stored here, it is still being replicated. If you are coming from VMware environment, in VMware there is a feature which is called FT, fault tolerance. And fault tolerance does what? That it continuously replicate memory changes to another machine on another server, and this ensures that whatever is happening within that system is always replicated to another server, and any data loss is never happening, and this is done on a virtual machine level. So that is what an example of fault tolerance is. Fault tolerance is zero downtime. Okay. Right. Let's keep moving forward. Let's talk new next topic now, which is durability. So let's talk about it. I'm running out of time as of always because I'm taking questions also, but let's talk about durability. So durability is again a component or again a mechanism within a system which is ensuring that we are able to perform our responsibility over time even when unexpected event may have occurred. That's what we mean by durability. Most of the time when we talk about durability, that is associated with storage. So we say my storage is durable. You will not see anyone saying my server is durable. No, they will say my server is highly available or fault tolerant. But then they talk about storage, then they talk about durability. Like if I'm storing my data on a pen drive, it is durable or not. If I'm storing it on a RAID volume, is it durable or not? So storage is mostly measured into durability. And if I'm talking in the sense of AWS, then Amazon S3 is a good example of durability. Durability, I would call it as a retention. How much time your data will be kept in without any issues, that is what we call retention, and that is called durability. If I give you example, when you have created an Amazon S3 bucket, and in that bucket you have stored an object. For you and me it was one object. What S3 did behind the scene, it has created three copies of that object, and this is ensuring that multiple copies are there so that you would never be facing any issues at all on that. So that's what we mean by durability in Amazon S3. So Amazon S3 is creating creating multiple copies of the object, and it is ensuring that your data is available in case of any problematic failure. Now you do not face any issues at all, right? If let's say AWS has a hiccup in one of the copy, you don't see it from front end. Even if the second copy is gone, probably you won't see an hiccup. It will be all available from here. You do not see what is happening behind the scene. So it is shielding whatever is happening behind the scene for your application. So that's how it works. Right? That is durability. Now, Amazon S3, now it is a marketing term. So be aware about that. Amazon S3 has a data durability of 11.9 and 99.9% availability of object over a given year. How does it actually translate into numbers? Let's see those numbers now. This is what the numbers are. So when we say Amazon S3 standard tier is having 11.9 durability, now pay attention to it. We always say, or documentation always says, it is designed for durability, designed for this availability. The SLAs are different. See the SLA difference? So availability designed is 99.99%. We would strive for it, but what we are legally committing to customer is this. Right. So hope you're getting the idea. Designed for is a different thing, and actual SLA is different. So if you think S3 will always give you 11.9 of durability, yes, most of the time, but it is not an SLA. It is a mechanism designed for durability. So what it is doing, it is keeping three copies of the data, as you could see here, that it is keeping data into multiple availability zones, as we see here. Now, depending on what type of storage you are using. So let's say if you are using S3 standard, then this is your designed availability and durability. But if you started using one zone IA, one zone in one zone your intelligent access, one zone intelligent access. So come on, what is happening? One zone infrequent access, one zone infrequent access. So what is happening here, that this one is having less availability, its durability is same. Now people think, hey, how you are using a one zone and still giving me the same durability? We are still keeping your data into one zone, but we are still maintaining three copies of it. So that's how we are maintaining the durability of your data. So that is the same thing, which is one three copies of it, and that's why we are able to achieve. I give an example to explain this in terms of durability and availability. Hopefully you have heard me before. Let's say this is your office building. In this office building, that's the timing is that it opens at 7 a.m. and it stays open till 10 p.m. That is the only time I can go into office. I can't go beyond it. Now, I was working, I had my laptop here. My friends called me out. I went out. Until the time I returned, my office building got closed. My laptop is still there. Now, laptop is still there, right? It is not gone. Nobody has stolen it. It has not vanished. It has not disappeared into a thin air. It is still there, but I cannot access it right now. Why? Because my requirement is that office building will only be available on that. So I cannot access it right now. Why? Because I am not in the time when the office is open, but it is still retained in my building. So retention is what I mean by durability, and access is what I mean by availability. So availability is access. Can I access it or not? So probably there is an issue right now. I can't access it. So it is less available, but still highly durable for my application. So that is how the calculation actually works out. Okay. Hope everyone is following along. Let's keep moving forward and let's talk about next option, which is scalability. I'm running out of time, but I'll still explain at least two or three topics here. So, and the rest I would keep it into the PDF file, so you should be able to get it. Let's talk about scalability. Now, I would like you to spend 1 minute and read an expert from my book. Please, this is the book which I authored recently, which is about AWS cloud computing concept and technologies. It is available if you want to go into it, Kindle and paper copy also. Read this statement from Alex. So this book is all about analogies, and we try to incorporate here things like people are conversing into office, and then they are trying to explain technical topics into a easier term. I would give you a minute so that you could read this, and then I'll explain you about scalability and elasticity. All right. I hope you have read it. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm using some examples from Marvel Comics and trying to explain you scale up operation and what is elasticity. Let's keep moving forward and let's go ahead and move forward. Let's keep moving forward now. Now, what I'm trying to do here, that I'm talking about Hulk. We all probably have seen his movies, and there are now is a female Hulk also. So Hulk is a person who is in standard format. But when he is getting emotionally stressed or somebody troubles him or her, they change into something which is very, very complicated like this. And then it is immense strength. It can handle whatever it comes to him. That is how Hulk is. That is one example, right? So what is actually happening here when Hulk is turning into this Bruce Banner is turning into green thing? It is a scale up operation. So when he's scaling up, when there is a lot of trouble coming in, he would change into this Hulk character and would be able to handle it. So scalability is the ability of a system to grow or shrink in a graceful manner. Right. It describe architecture that is growth friendly, who have ability to grow. That is what we have this scalability. Like I remember one of the movie Hulk said that if you are a Hulk, you need to wear clothes which are elastic, something like that. So that is how he is getting ready to get into those shapes. So some technical terms now apart from Hulk. So how efficiently a system perform and user traffic is increased multifold. Lots of people are sending requests. Can I handle that? Too much traffic coming in. How well my database would respond to a higher volume of queries if number of queries has increased. Can I handle it? How my operating system performs on different type of hardware. If it is given 2 cpu, if it is given 100 cpu, can it scale? So it is not just hardware, it is also software component we are talking in terms of scalability. And scalable system perform with the same scalability even if the load on it increases. So that's how things would look like if I plot a graph. That is a demand, and there is a time on x-axis, y-axis is demand. And if you see, my scalability is ensure that I am making gradual increase in my workload, maybe decrease also, but this is what I'm doing in scalability. Right. So that is what is scalability. Elasticity, I'll talk about that Pramod in a minute, but this is what a scalability is. Let's now talk about elasticity. Another Marvel comic character, Ant-Man. Now, Ant-Man, initially it was name was given because it could shrink to a smaller size, like size of an ant. But now this character has been enhanced and it can become a giant man like this. So sometime when he needs, he could become an ant-like person, or sometime he could become a giant person, something like this. So that is what Ant-Man is actually doing. Right now, what is happening here? This is showing elasticity. This is a great example of being elastic. What I'm trying to explain you here, that elasticity generally refers to dynamic increase or decrease of resource. This is dynamic. This is the key word here. It would mostly happen automatically. You don't have to do anything about it. So it is mostly a operational thing you are doing. And then elastic system automatically adapts to match resource with demand as closely as possible in real time, maybe adding more instances. So when you are launching auto scaling group, that is elasticity. Handling peak traffic like Black Friday sale, that is elasticity. Scale infrastructure into test and dev activity and tear it down once dev test work complete. That is what is my elasticity is. So that's what we mean. Scalability gives you ability to increase or decrease your resource, and elasticity let those operations happen automatically according to configured rules. So I hope this has given you an idea. Now this is how it would look on graph. So elasticity would, you would see sudden decrease, sudden decrease, increase. That's how we are still able to handle it. That is what is elasticity. Thanks, Andy. You would never forget scalability and elasticity. I hope so. That is the intention. But yeah, let's see this how elasticity is. Now, when we talk about scalability and elasticity in context of AWS, what does it mean? Let's see that. Now, when AWS says we are expanding our global footprint, we are going to open regions. Let's see this number. 2006 to 2011, they had 4 regions. Then 2011 to 16, 7 region, 11, 31. As you could see, they are expanding their footprint as we move forward. So elasticity is automatic scaling in a way. Yes, I would say automatic scaling, Devesh, is a way to implement elasticity. So it is a way to implement elasticity within your environment. So yes, it is in a way the same thing. Now, if we look at edge location, in 2008 there were 14, 2018 150, 2023 400 plus edge location. Now this is not randomly happening. What we are trying to do here, we are trying to build a strategy to expand our footprint. Now, what is elasticity in AWS? Let's see that. So AWS was used, CloudFront was used to broadcast FIFA World Cup 2022, and this was the traffic. So scaling up to support million of concurrent viewer when it happened in Qatar, millions of user all over world has watched it, and this was what a CloudFront has delivered. This is how much, peaking at around 23 terabyte per second across 23 terabyte. Imagine 49 million unique client IP addresses. Now, is the same CloudFront delivering the similar request to right now? Probably not. Only for that duration it peaked up, and then if you see there was a sudden decrease, nobody is watching it. It is what we mean by elasticity. So I hope this concept is clear, that what is scalability and what is elasticity. And I have put a table to compare them side by side. Scalability is system to uphold the function. Elasticity is dynamically managing the resources. Why I would use scalability? It is to meet static or predictable increase in the workload. To meet the dynamic sudden increase, we use elasticity. Strategic operation, when AWS is opening up a new region, it is a strategic operation. They do a lot of research, and based on that, they would be able to create an operation. Elasticity is a tactical approach. Workload increase, Black Friday sale came in, let me increase my request. Focuses on design, which is scalability. Focuses on operation, which is my elasticity. Why scalability is used? This is important. So scalability is used to exceed future demand. I know more people would be there, they would be needing more resources, so AWS is expanding it. And elasticity is to meet present demand. What is currently happening? Can I handle 10,000 requests, 1 million requests? That is your elasticity. And then medium and long term prediction are used for scalability. Elasticity is short term demand handling. And then execution, scalability will be typically scheduled. AWS announced on this date or in this next year we would have more regions coming up, whereas elasticity is typically triggered by automation. So hopefully this has given you an idea that what is scalability and elasticity, right? So I hope this thing is clear. And how you achieve scalability, so scale up or scale down, you could do vertical scaling. So vertical scaling is where we may have storages and we may have added more capacity into it, or maybe we started with a small server with 2 CPU and 2 GB RAM. We added 3 CPU, 3 GB RAM, 4 CPU, 4 GB RAM. This is what we mean by a scale operation. Scale up or scale down, vertical scaling. And we can have scale out operation also. In scale out, I am adding more storage layers like D drive, E drive, F drive, or I am adding more node into my cluster, and that's how I am achieving a scale out operation. But both are making my architecture scalable. One is suitable for stateful workload, where I have to maintain state within the system. On the other hand, another one is suitable for stateless workload, where I do not have to maintain any state within my system. So hopefully this has given you idea on three. So I was able to only cover three of them, but I will give you the slide, and probably when you can read it and come back with any questions as you have. Scalability with automation is elasticity. I won't put it like that, Sab, because elasticity itself may be having automation, but scalability could be manually triggered. It will not always have that. So I'm not talking about reliability now. You could find these details into this. Then I have put some detail on observability also. So that is what also you could get into the slide. So please check these slides. And now it is a good time to take a 5 minute break. I hope at least three topics are clear to you. If we get time in future, we will obviously talk about others. Otherwise, you could refer to the documentation which would be made available. So I'll put a 5 minute timer, and then maybe gear up again to hear from Q, who would be helping us with our security track. So 5 minutes and we would be starting again. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you in five. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone has taken a short break and back after 5 minutes. If you are back, type in chat which is your favorite AWS service. Which one is your favorite AWS service? If I talk about myself, I would say S3. Yes, that is best one because I could keep as much as I want. I could run analytics on that. I could go ahead and maybe run queries on top of it, SQL queries. I could maybe move my data on a very cheap Glacier storage. So yeah, DynamoDB is a really nice service too. Route 53 is amazing. I agree on that. Route 53, at least you would need first interaction of your customer would be Route 53. DynamoDB would give you the scale you are looking for. EC2, evergreen. I would say you could run anything. Most of the time, when customers start moving their compute to cloud, it would be a EC2 machine. EFS, interesting service, Ganesh. Yeah, it may be you are maybe from more on a storage background. So yeah, that would make sense. Dropbox is running on S3. It means I would say yes and no both. They wish there is a more component on that, but yes, EC2 Lambda. Yeah, Lambda is interesting too because you could run things as you move forward. RDS, yeah, maybe that will save a lot of time from maintenance. So that is another good thing. You could go ahead and use it. Now, give me a minute. I want to answer a few questions here so that everyone is aware about what is there and how you would be getting access to that. So question was there from IO was, please, is it possible to have the slide for the presentation? So yes, it is. We put all the slide on our resources page, and let me quickly walk you through that page so that everyone is aware, people who are joining new to us. That is where this is our web page, and here is the additional resources. You will find recording. So like we have uploaded it for this. I forgot to upload it for network devices. I'll do it. And then you would be able to find recordings here, and here in this page, like week 2, week 3, you would find PowerPoint slides. So this is your fundamental tracks. You could get PDF from the slides, shouldn't be a problem. So that is available, right? So that will be there. Now, another question which was interesting, that let me put that question on chat, which is from Prashant. Uh, which is, does the magnitude of elasticity depend on scalability of the application? I would say yes. I would put it like that. Let's see. Let's say you decided that you would be needing 10,000 of EC2 machine. This is your requirement. You need 10,000 EC2 machine. All right. What if AWS in that region only has capacity of 5,000 EC2? So though you want to elastically expand and acquire 10,000 capacity for a peak, but unless AWS has scaled their infrastructure to accommodate 10,000, you won't be able to get elasticity of 10,000. So to achieve elasticity, you would need a scalable infrastructure. Let me repeat the statement. To achieve elasticity, you would need a scalable infrastructure. So I hope that has given you an idea and you got understanding on how it would look like. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Let me add Q to chat. Q, are you up? Let me add you to the chat, and then I would be discussing bits of things with Q, and then we will move forward with it. Let me add Q to stream. Q, if you are on camera, let us know, and then we would move forward.
Yes, yes. Give me a second. Let
Good.
me
Take your
turn
time. Take your time.
camera.
So Q is one of our technical instructor, and he would help you today in understanding. We call him Q, like if you have heard about James Bond movies, where Q is the person who has a lot of technical things, and same is with Q here in our team. He helps us a lot with technical stuff, and today he has graced us with the presence. So let me add his presentation to stream, and I'll be off screen for a while.
Thank you very much, Ashish. Appreciate that introduction. And I really enjoyed the analogies, the stories you shared in explaining the topics. Let me start by asking the audience that if you followed Ashish recommendations and solution, you developed highly scalable, highly available, redundant, and then your customer is complaining. This is not the basic experience. Too slow. Is there a way? to make my application faster, quicker, smoother. Maybe I'm having real time or near real time applications. Delay is very sensitive. How to improve or reduce latency? I'm checking everything. The latency. I'm checking the high availability, auto scaling group, load balancer, everything Ashish mentioned. I'm doing. What I'm doing wrong? Why the customer complaining? It's too slow. They are not happy. What I do? I'm checking CPU, which is perfectly fine. I'm checking the RAM. I'm checking the family, the type. My customer is still complaining. How to make it faster? I can see very nice answers there, which is correct answers. Keep the data close to the customer. Yes. What else? Using of cloud front. Yes. DAX, DynamoDB accelerator, caching, clustering, elastic cache. What else? What else? The location, edge. What are the possibilities offered by AWS to help me doing this? I done everything. The scalability done, load balancing done. There is no problem with this, but my customer is complaining. I can see route 53 with latency routing. Thank you very much. Region, content delivery network, save in 2 regions, caching, global accelerator. Thank you very much. What else? What else? You can answer in YouTube, you can answer in LinkedIn, or you can join the Slido. Don't worry, everything going to be deleted. I'm not going to save the data. No authentication required. I can see excellent answers there. Database caching and content caching. Direct connect, yes. I can see edge mentioned multiple times. Location. Add more compute if needed. No, I'm checking the compute, the CPU only using the 20-30%. I don't know why the customer complaining. I'm checking my storage. Still okay. I'm checking everything is fine. It's not about computing. Okay. You provided very nice answers. I'm going to take these answers and move forward to help you reduce latency. Let me ask you another question, which is mentioned in Ashish uh, slides. I don't have slides, nice slides like Ashish. He's the hero. But let me ask you this. We want to be closer to our customer. Because of physics, it takes time for the signal to travel between your customer to AWS. So let me ask you this question. AWS, to reduce latency and be closer to our customer, let me ask another question. We deployed multiple regions. The question is, how many regions does AWS have? What do you think? It was mentioned in Ashish's slide just now, 2 minutes ago, not 2 minutes, 10 minutes ago. How many regions? Give me a number. How many regions? The question about regions. Okay, how to check? Let me show you the site. You can continue answering while I'm showing you this site. So as you can see, we have 31 launched region, which is already available. and active, more than 31. Each region will have at least 3 availability zone. So 31 multiplied by 3 should give me 93, but I have more than this. I have 99 availability zones because some regions will have 4, 5, 6 availability zones. How to reduce latency? How to be closer to the customer? We have more than 450 point of presence. We have more than 400 edge locations and 13 regional edge caches. That's how AWS is doing this, being closer to the customer. What are the other options, which you already mentioned? Let me scroll down. There will be 5 more regions coming soon. So currently is 31, but in the future, we're going to add 5 more AWS regions. So more regions to be closer to the customer. What else? Let me scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. We have 34 local zones all over the world, 29 wavelet zones. Let me check what is the local zone. What is the wavelet zone? Let me scroll. Let's go to the local zones. So if you don't have the AWS region in your country, you can use the local zones to run. This is the purpose. Latency sensitive application and be closer to the end user. It's not big as a region. That country does not have a local zone, but I need less latency. I need to be closer to the customer so I can request to access to local zones. Let me show you also let me go back. Let me show you the wavelength zones, which is infrastructure, can help me to run the 5G networks. Again, reducing latency, make it faster, nearest to the customer, so I can deploy different compute instances, different storage at the edge, nearest to my customer, storage, computing, connectivity to 5G networks. You can monitor what's happening there. So I have another question for you. What is the edge computing? What's your definition of the edge? Closer to customer? Yes, thank you very much. What else? Locations, closer to customer. Content caching, closer to customer. Processing and the end user, example IoT, cloud front, reducing latency. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Let me show you this. So what is edge computing? Process of bringing information, storage, and computing abilities closer to the end user, to my customer, to reduce latency. Maybe they have video streaming or gaming, the time sensitive applications. So I want the process, the storage, the compute to be done closer to the customer. One more question. One more question. Can you give me example of services, of AWS services available at the edge? What are the services that I can run and host at the edge? Can you give me example? CloudFront, yes. Lambda at the edge, thank you very much. What else? What else? What are some examples of AWS Edge services available there? I won't use the Edge services. What do you mean Edge services? What are these? Can you give me example? Okay, let me go to the official documentation and showing you. These are the list of services available at the edge. So AWS Outpost, if you cannot go to the cloud, we can bring the cloud to you as hardware. So you can host AWS infrastructure. You can host AWS infrastructure at your data center, at your server room, up to 96 racks. Each rack can have up to 42 units. So, for whatever reason you cannot use the cloud, we can have the cloud coming to you. We already discussed local zones, wavelength. I'm just trying to show you the possibilities when I say edge. I can have the storage gateway for hybrid cloud storage and caching as well, and reducing cost because the request going to the edge, not to the actual S3, not to the actual database. CloudFront, many of you mentioned the CloudFront. We can move the data offline using the Snow family. So you can process data at the edge or move petabytes. So while it's being transferred, it's going to be processed as well and encrypted and rugged, anti-tamper and tamper evident. So you can move your data offline. Robotics there, sorry. RoboMaker. Have you heard about these services before? Machine learning solutions, IoT solutions, analytics. Yeah. So huge list of AWS services available there to reduce the latency. But we're going to have a problem. What's the problem? There is kind of war between the there is kind of war between the high speed and um, high speed and security in the same time. For example, if you decided to use a server, okay, and that server capacity or capability is to respond to 1,000 1K 1K requests per second, input output per second, then you might have something called distributed denial of service attack, which is sending a lot of fake requests using bots to make your server unavailable. So, for example, I'm sending 10K or 100 fake requests, 100K. What will happen? Your service will not be available. Your customer will complain. What is this? I cannot access. I cannot access. So, what I do, let me start another whiteboard there. Okay, and let me explain to you. So, let's start talking about how to protect my data at the edge. You need to understand there is something called open system interconnection, which is developed by International Organization of Standardization, by ISO. They come up with 7 layers to allow communication between different systems, different operating system. So we have the physical layer, we have the data link layer, we have the network layer, we do have the transport layer. So each one will have different protocols, different mechanism, different rules, different job. Transport layer to be done. Layer 5, we have session layer, and then layer 6 is the presentation layer, and finally the top layer is the uh, application layer. Why I'm telling you this? Because there are different distributed denial of service attack that attack different types of layer. Some of them going to attack layer 3 and layer 4. Different mechanism, different types of attack. such as synchronized flows or user datagram protocol, the UDP can affect the system as well. So this is usually large in volume, and there are different layers that attacking. Let me change the color. There are different types of attack that attacking layer 7, top layers, and the presentation layer, layer 5 and sorry, 6 and 7. How to protect different types of distribution, denial of distribution service. So I'm going to show you 3 different solutions that hopefully help you protect the cloud at the edge. Let me start with the shield service. So what is the shield service? Maximize application availability and responsiveness with managed denial of distributed denial of service attack. Can automatically detect and mitigate network level distributed denial of service, layer 3 and layer 4. We can also have dedicated shield response team, dedicated engineers. Let me share the link with you, this link. So if you want, you can have dedicated team, security engineers who specialize in how to respond and help you. So I can provide this group of experts, security engineers, to protect using Shield if you want us to help you. So this is happening at the edge, nearest to the customer. You already mentioned this, the global accelerator. Can I use global accelerator and Shield, Elastic Load Balancing, Cloud Front, Elastic IP Address, Route 53 for DNS, all these services you can protect using the Shield and enable the Shield. So we have two types. We have two types there. The Shield standard, which is happening on these two layers. And then we have the advanced shield, which is protecting from, let me use another color, it's protecting from layer 3 all the way to layer 7. So layer 7 attacks, layer 6 attacks, layer 4 attacks, and layer 3 attacks of distributed denial of service. It's not the same attack, different protocols, different layers. So you can provide more protection. We also have the Shield Advance. Let me share the link with you. If you are using the Shield Advance, which is protecting upper layer beside the lower layer, you can get some of the web application firewall protection. Shield Advanced subscription includes certain AWS web application firewall at no additional cost. Keep in mind. So you can have protection, you can have event response, you can have cost protection, you can have specialized support, and so on. We also have something called another service, web application firewall. What is firewall? I have a list, either approved list, or I can have deny list. Then I'm going to check, are you allowed to access or no? So you can approve. If it's approved, you can connect. If not, it will be denied. You can use the web application firewall in the cloud front. You can use it in application load balancer. You can use it in Amazon API gateway. What else? You can use it for the hybrid cloud, which is the app sync. You can also connect it to Cognito. The Cognito user services. So this will protect you against bot traffic. It can protect you against the SQL injection attacks or cross-site scripting attacks. You can monitor. You can decide, is that IP address allowed? Is that IP address blocked? Let me show you this website. This is the official website. So this is protect your web application from common exploits. You can get up to 10 million common board control requests per month if you're using the free tier. So you can see it can also integrated with and controlled and configured with other services. You can simply create policy. Allow this IP address or this port or IP address range, which is the classless interdomain CIDR, classless interdomain routing. Block this country. I'm not selling my products or services to that country. I want to block based on the size of the message. So I can block and filter. You can filter out unwanted traffic IP address by defining specific pattern, because usually they follow a pattern. You can connect to CloudWatch, the observability. How many times somebody trying to access 5,000 times in the past 20 minutes? Is that normal? You can connect to Amazon Kinesis data firehose. So you can, on the go, near real time, collect data and analyze data and then protect your services. Who is going to manage this for me? The list that is approved or denied. Who's going to manage this? You can do this yourself. It's either you. AWS can help you doing this. AWS. Or if you are telling me I already signed a contract, long-term contract with third party, I prefer to use third party because I already have a contract. Third party also possible to manage these lists for you and update them because they are not static. They are not static, they keep changing. So you need to follow up and update them, and you can monitor them using CloudWatch. You can save the CloudWatch logs into S3. You can use Kinesis Data Firehose for logging and monitoring. You can define metrics. You can define certain IP address. You can define a rule, web access control list. Rules define criteria for inspecting web requests and specify how to handle specific requests according to criteria. You can have a collection of regular expression, this one and this one. I don't have one list. I have 5 lists. This one and this one, not that one, or this one, nor that. Then you can get full details to protect your devices and your services at the edge nearest to your customer. Let me ask you a question. Quiz time. Which service can help you to filter and block web application traffic? I want to block that country or that IP address or this range of IP addresses. I want to stop the SQL injection. I want to stop that country. So this is called geofencing by country or rate limiting. How many requests per second is allowed? You can have AWS managing the rules for you. You can manage it yourself, or we have AWS Marketplace Manage Rules Group, so third party can manage these services for you. Anybody else? What is network access control list? This is happening on VPC. VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Inspector not related. Let me share with you the inspector. The Amazon inspector software vulnerability management. So I'm trying to show you more and more services. Okay, one more question. One more question. Choose two this time. Choose two. Network load balancer. What's the job? Network load balancer. What's the job of network load balancer? Distribute the load between two different availability zones, between two different targets, multiple targets, not only two. So it's not related to denial of service attack protection. Outpost. This is the edge, sending you the hardware up to 96 racks. Each rack can do up to 42 units. So Outpost is not related. EC2 is computing for processing. So don't choose EC2, don't choose network load balancer, and don't choose the AWS Outpost. Remaining only two, Shield and Web Application Firewall. That's how you protect your services at the edge. I want to ask you, let me show you one more service before we stop. I want to show you the firewall manager. If you're telling me I'm working at large scale company, there are so many configurations, security group, access control list, firewall, shield. I'm getting confused. I'm working with hundreds or maybe thousands of customers. I'm always having a new application to be deployed. I want to automatically enforce and define security policies. I need to look for one-stop solution, like a maestro, like a conductor, like orchestrator. I need to see one-stop solution that manage everything. So you can use the firewall manager. You can see firewall. Let me zoom out. Firewall manager can one-stop solution. Can manage the web application firewall, network firewall, shield, an advanced shield, Route 53 DNS firewall. You can manage the security group that control per instance. Can also connect to third-party firewall. One-stop solution if you're working on large scale. So you can deploy tools at scale to protect data. You can enforce, you can manage everything. Use it if you have large number of accounts and resources. Use it if you have a new application created all the time. I need to be in control. I'm the maestro. I'm the solution architect. Give me visibility. Show me a nice dashboard. So these are three services that you can use to manage the cloud, the security at the edge. Let me ask you one more question, and this is the last question. I'm going to show you a diagram. Give me a number for this diagram. How many security layers are there? Give me a number. This is a good exercise. How many security layers are there? Some of them are hidden, you cannot see. What do you think? Give me a number. Some of them you cannot see. I can see 5, 7, 3. Anybody else? 5, 4. Did you count the security group per instance? Did you done this? Did you count the identity and access management? Who can access that region or that region? Elastic Load Balancer can be also protected by Shield Advance and Web Application Firewall. Global Accelerator also can be protected against distributed denial of service attacks. Route 53 can use Shield Advance to protect. You can see, as Ashish mentioned, this is deployed in different regions, just in case. And if you are using VPC, I don't see any VPC there, but if you are using VPC, then VPC can be controlled by network access control list. I hope this basic diagram can give you an idea. Is the cloud secure? How to secure AWS cloud? You are the solution architect. You are the designer. The management, the team will ask you, can you review this design? Is it secure? Is there a way to improve it? What are the security services available there to protect against the distributed denial of service attack or cross-site scripting or sync flooding, or how to stop traffic from certain country or certain size or certain rate limit? Somebody sending 100 requests per minute, is that normal? SQL injection, can I manage my the list? Access control list rule statements can be managed by you. It can be managed by AWS. It can be managed by a third party, if you like. Let me just show you quick. I'll take 2 minutes before, because I want to be mindful of the time for my colleague Marco. I just want to show you quick. So if you go to the console, let me show you, for example, this one. Let me zoom in. It's loading. Let it load first. So you can see web application firewall, protect your applications from common web exploits at the edge. So you can use it at application load balancer. You can use it with API gateway, just under 5 minutes. You can define the access control list. You can define IP set to be allowed or denied. You can have rule groups developed by you or by AWS. You have a marketplace. You have a marketplace third party from F5, for example, or CloudBrick Corp, GeoGuard. If you are looking to use third party to manage these lists, who can access, who can be denied, what are IP address to be blocked. Yeah, I'm going to stop here. Thank you very much for your active participation, asking the questions, and spending time with me today. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to put it in the chat. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Q. That was interesting, and probably you got an idea on what are the available services in AWS and how we could use it. If you need more technical detail, obviously we would put some additional resources on our website, and that should give you a way to implement it. But I like the idea of the quiz that kept people engaged, that has given them idea about how to like respond. So that was a good communication. Thanks for that. And we
Thank you.
will make these the resources available on our webpage. Let's keep moving forward. I would be now adding to stream Marco. Thanks, you.
Thank
And Marco would help us today with understanding various aspects of being a technical trainer into AWS. Marco and I work in the same team. Q is also working in the same team, so we are all technical trainers. But yeah, I want to Marco been into system for more than me, like 5 years and more. So let's hear from him, like how he would be doing his day-to-day job and what type of skills he has and what other details are. So welcome, Marco. Thank you to participate in this session. Happy to have you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Can you hear me, Ash?
I can hear you well. I can see
Perfect.
some tan on your face coming from your Greece visit. That's how I feel. So Marco just returned from a vacation yesterday, and you could obviously see the tan on his face. Greece is a little hot. So yeah, how was it? It was
Yeah,
good. It was
yeah,
enjoyable.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, best way to come is being your guest, folks. So thank you, Ashish, and thank you to all of the Beza team for having me here, and welcome to this session. As the title says, I think you can see my screen is shared right now. My name is Marco Tamassia, and I'm going to talk about a day in the life of a technical trainer, sometimes called the technical instructor. And I will say, in particularly, a day in the life of an AWS technical instructor. Marco Tamassia from Milano, Italy, and let me introduce myself before starting in describing my day and our days. First of all, I'm a technical instructor, and I was an experienced database administrator. So I started not as a trainer, my working career, but I started as a DBA, a database administrator. I joined AWS as a DBA, working on the databases that were part of the AWS backend. I got this luck. I had the opportunity to see our cloud also working from the other side. And over the last 6 years, I'm doing the trainer. One day I decided to start doing this job, even if I used to be a trainer in parallel with my DBA life, a DBA activity. When I was a consultant, a DBA consultant, I used to teach also some courses, especially on databases. And in AWS, I decided to do this job full time, 100% of my time. I'm also an experienced public speaker because probably you hear that from Ash and other colleagues in the beta sessions, in the past beta sessions. But basically, part of Amazonians is also Amazonians life is also being on stage and talk to a public during our large public events, virtual or in-person public events. So when you join AWS, most of us improve a lot their public speaking skills, presentation skills, and skills that you need to have as a trainer. But more about it later. So when Ash asked me to talk about a day in the life of a technical trainer, I immediately thought about that we have two basically type of days in our life, in our job. The first one is the training day, and this is probably the day you already know, you can imagine much easily. So it's the day when we are in class, when we are trainers and we teach in front of 15 to 20 people, 25 people tops, virtually, like I'm doing it now, or in a class, in a physical class, in person. But we have also other type of days. These are called, at least in AWS, skills acquisition day. So those are the days where technical instructors just don't teach. So we do something else, they do something else. And I'm going to tell you what we do during those days. And probably they are the most interesting. Most of the time, people ask me, what do you do when you don't have a training? Because we don't teach every day of the week, every year. By the way, there will be a Q&A section at the end of the session. So if you have questions, my colleague will answer to them in the meantime I speak, but also there will be time for me to answer your questions live. First of all, let's focus on the training day. This is something very important to say. Our life, but I will say in every company, probably in every training department, things change a lot after the COVID pandemic. Me and Ashish, and especially me and Ash, because you join our team later. But me and Ash, we are teaching in AWS for over the last 6 years, so before COVID, and we used to travel a lot. My life was in the airport, at the airport most of the time, from 2 to 4 flights every week, going to AWS customers' offices and delivering trainings there. But things change a lot after COVID, and now this is my office. I'm in my room in Milano, Italy, and I do my job every day in this way, in front of the camera in my studio. Sometimes we take a plane or a train and we deliver a training in person, but this is very rare. So personally, I deliver 2 instructor-led trainings, so in-person trainings over the last 2 years, so 1 per year. It's crazy. But pros and cons of everything. You lose the physical contact with the students, taking coffee with them, having lunch with them, but you have more time for your personal life. And as soon as the training is finished, I'm in my house and I can do my personal stuff. I can stay more with my family. So pros and cons of everything as usual. As you can see in the picture I've chosen for you in the slide, we have a proper setup as AWS employees. AWS provides us everything we need to properly, professionally deliver trainings. So we have multiple screens. So we have a nice mic. We have lights. I have a light here, a light there, and everything really we need. A tablet for drawing. Everything we need to professionally deliver trainings, because when your job is delivering virtual sessions, it's very important having a proper professional setup and delivering stuff with a good camera, good audio, and good quality, generally speaking. But and what I can say later, I will talk about challenges and skills that trainers might have. But generally speaking, what I could add about the training day is that it is a pretty tough day. It's a tough day because you talk for 6 hours a day, usually for 3 days in a row. Our trainings, on average, take 3 days. So we talk a lot. If you are in person, you walk across the chairs and the students in multiple directions. You stay in front of a whiteboard or a projector for 3 hours and a half in the morning, 3 hours and a half in the afternoon. And you usually put your phone in airplane mode and you just talk and talk. You do demos, you share your slides, you ask questions, you get answers, you get questions. So it's a tough day. At the end of a day, of a training day, you're pretty tired. I was a consultant in an operational role, running queries, fixing issues, restoring databases, doing on-calls. But when you finish a training day, you're very tired. You have 25 customers in front of you, people who paid for what you are showing to them, what you are saying. So you have a responsibility. You're responsible for a class for 3 days, at the customer's venue sometimes. So you feel very responsible and you spend a lot of energy. You don't want to talk to anyone after 6 hours of trainings, but this is our job. Usually after a training day, you don't do many things. You might have a meeting, maybe 2 short meetings. You might send a couple of emails, taking a look at the slides of the day after, but you don't do nothing more after it. And usually you do this for 3 days in a row. What for sure is more interesting, because I'm pretty sure many of you know, generally speaking, what a trainer does in a room, in a training day, because I'm pretty sure you, in your life, at least once, you attended a training, right, as a student. But is our skill acquisitions days that are more interesting for people. Most of the time I get questions about them. And by recapping what we usually do, I was able to recap them and group them in 3 main group of activities. So especially when you join AWS in this role, the first thing you have to do, the first thing your manager asks you to do is getting certified. Because most of our trainings are related to specific certifications. You want to teach to deliver architecting on AWS, you need to get certified in solutions architect. You want to deliver developing on AWS, you need to get certified in developing in development certified on AWS. You want to deliver the planning and designing a training databases training, you need the database specialty certification. So at the beginning, you need to prepare your certifications. You need to study. I'm not going to spend time in this presentation about our certifications. I'm sure Ash and his team, the BESA team, already organizes and will organize sessions about how to get certified. But generally speaking, we take a look at our course material. We have this benefit as trainers. And then we study our stuff in the documentation, on the AWS documentation. We do practice exams on Skill Builder and practice exams also on AWS partners' websites. And once we are certified, I don't know, we got the Solutions Architect certification, then we need to do what? We need to ramp up for a course. This is the right term we use internally. We ramp up for a course. So we have to be eligible to teach, to deliver that specific training. And it depends by your experience, your knowledge. It depends if you already ramped up similar courses. You might take it 1 week, 2 weeks, a month. It depends. Some courses require extra knowledge. For example, if you want to teach with a high quality machine learning on AWS, you need to learn machine learning first, the basics stuff about machine learning if you are new to that topic, right? So this course will take you more time. Same thing for containers or for databases if you don't know anything about containers or databases. And our ramp-up starts by following what we call a DIG. It's an internal term. It stands for Digital Instructor Guide. So basically, we have one of our colleagues in the world. It could be in US, in Asia, in India, in the Middle East, in Europe, that basically recorded himself or herself in front of a camera and teaches us how to teach the course. So it's a kind of train the trainer thing. And this is like a 3 days training. And we get in this digital training tips and tricks, the real training. So we see the slides, how we teach them, how we should teach them to our customers, and demos and the quizzes. We are evaluated at the end of this digital instructor guide. And then basically we are ready. We are ready to go. But before say to our manager, I'm ready to deliver this training, we usually spend time on preparing demos We talk to other colleagues and ask to them directly through meetings for suggestions. We shadow, if you are not 100% confident in the delivery, we shadow our trainings. Usually once it's enough. And then once we find ourselves ready to teach, we just communicate it to the management and we say, now we are ready to deliver this training. And another type of activities we do during our skills acquisition day is a standard working time, because at the end, we are trainers, yes, but we are also employees of a multinational company. So we need to send and to write emails. So we read emails, we join meetings, we talk to our manager, we join team meetings, we have chats with our peers, we meet with colleagues, we work on personal projects. So there is a standard working time on which we spend time on it during our skills acquisition day. The nice part of working for a company of AWS is that you are responsible for your time. No one is going to tell you how to organize your time. You are free, 100% free, to decide how to organize your time. You can study in the half past of the day and then spend time on working, standard working time, office time in the afternoon, or vice versa. Studying for 3 days and then doing something else on the 2 days extra time is up to you. And usually we have a good number of skill acquisition days in specific moments of the year. At the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, close to end of the year time, Christmas time or whatever, and in summer. But there are two very tough periods for training in general. If you are familiar with the training world, you know that September, October, November, and March, April, and May are pretty tough period. This is when usually our customers ask for training, so where companies' employees get trained. And so during those periods, we get fewer skills acquisition days, but this is normal. So there are specific moments during the year when we invest on our personal time in order to get ready when we have to deliver many trainings during the month, across the month. And what are our challenges? What are the typical issues, problems, I will say challenges that the technical trainers usually face? Is it an easy role? I will say no. It's a job with a lot of cool stuff, a lot of opportunities, but also important challenges that you need to be aware of if one day you wanna start this journey. It's a job that I like. I'm doing it for over the last 6 years, but there are some challenges. The first one, probably the most critical, the most important, is being able to manage an heterogeneous audience. So when me, Ash, Q start a training, basically we get from 15 to 20 people, sometimes 25 on average. And these people come from different countries, have different culture, they are in different time zones, and they have a different technical knowledge. It happens very often that in 20 people you have newbies and experts. Maybe few experts and more newbies, but you still have to manage both, right? You have tech people and few non-tech people. Maybe you have developers and business development managers, or project managers, or what else? I will not say salespeople, but people that are not fully technical together with fully technical people. And how you manage them? You can ask me these questions at the end of the day, but this is the most important challenge a trainer in class has to face. No matter in the company you work for, you will always have this type of a challenge in a technical class. Another technical challenge you have is have to manage different technical areas. So you have to be prepared on different topics. If you think about our most popular course, Architecting on AWS, across 3 days, 6 hours a day, more or less, 7 hours a day, we teach about and we talk about databases, networking, computing, what else? It's possible, not machine learning too much, storage for sure. So yeah, security, and you need to know this stuff. You need to know the services that are part of these different categories, and you get questions from all of these categories, from all of these tech fields. And also the different type of courses we teach. So different technical areas to cover in a specific training, but we teach different trainings, different courses. So I'm an expert trainer in AWS because I work for 6 years. So 6 years is a lot in training and certification. And I teach almost 20 courses. So I know which kind of courses I'm going to teach in the next 2-3 months. But if I have 20 courses to teach in my portfolio, I need to be prepared more or less in all of them. My mind needs to be fresh at least on 10 out of 20. So you need to find the best strategy, the strategy that best fits the way you work, in order to keep yourself during a skills acquisition day fresh with all the courses you need to teach. So I know that in 2 months I have to teach running containers on EKS, on Amazon EKS. It's a long time I don't teach that course. So I know that in 2 months I need to be ready for it. Last time it was 3 months ago. So I need to take a look at the course material again. Need to take a look at my demos if they still work. So, and I need to organize my time. This is another skill you need to have. No one in AWS is gonna tell you, be prepared on the trainings that you have to teach, study this and this. You are fully responsible of your time. This is true for all roles in AWS, especially for technical trainer roles. And another challenge you have during our training days is maintaining people's attention. This is tough, folks. It's tough when you are in a class because you talk for 7 hours a day for 3 days. But you know, when in a class, face-to-face is a bit easier. But when you are like this, virtually, you have, folks, on the other side, a lot of things that can capture your attention. WhatsApp, YouTube, Spotify, your husband and your wife, your cat, your dog, your daughters, your sons. You might have many, your employers. You might have a lot of inputs that can distract you. And we are here talking to you for 7 hours a day about technology. So that's the reason you need to go. You need to be a good public speaker, not only a technical speaker. You need to have public speaking skills. So coming to the skills you need to have as a trainer, I almost done, and then Q&A. As a technical trainer, folks, you should be able, first of all, to manage a heterogeneous audience. And when I say manage, as I said before, I mean everything. Last training I delivered before going to vacation, I had a 20 people class, half of the people in India, half of the people in Europe. So 4 hours of difference between the two. How you manage the training, how you manage breaks, how you manage lunchtime, how you manage the labs. I said, okay, people in India will be very tired at the end of the training, so because they are 4 hours ahead. They're going to finish the training at 10 p.m., more or less. So I moved all the labs in the training at the very end of the training. So people in Europe could do trainings in normal training time at the end. But people in India can do labs by themselves if they are tired the day after in their morning. And I moved a bit, I shift a bit the lunchtime in order to provide the dinner time for Indians, people in India, and a bit late lunchtime for people in Europe. And this is not technical skills, and I didn't start the technical part yet. So before be prepared on the technical stuff, you need to have soft skills, important soft skills. Different cultures, right? When I teach people in the Middle East and it's a Ramadan, I ask them when you have a praying time, do you have a specific time when you need a break? And what about having a mixed class? So these are soft skills that you really need. And if you are not you don't have experience in training, well, this is experience that you need to forge in order to be a good training. But it comes with experience. And what do you do when you have an expert in the class and people who are new to what you're teaching? What are the prerequisites of the training? You need to move a bit above and beyond the prerequisites, right? Spending a bit more time on the basic if you get more beginners than expected in your training. If you have to deliver a training about machine learning and you get people that ask you, what is AWS? You said, oh, okay, let me do one step back. Let me spend the 20 minutes first on an introduction to AWS. This is stuff that trainers need to have, a skill that you need to have. You have to be empathy. You need to have empathy. You need to feel the energy in the audience. You need to understand your audience and stay closer to your students. Keep people attentions high. This is stuff in a virtual training. You see Q, for example, at the end of his session, he organizes a poll, right? We have polls, we have games, we have quizzes or demos or moments where the trainer just stops to show slides and ask you questions, raises discussions, call people by names. We do everything just to keep your attention high when we talk for hours along 3 days or 4 days sometimes. This is another type of skill you need to have. And again, I didn't talk yet about technical skills. When we hire people and we discuss between each other, among each other, when we take a look at your curriculum, or curriculum that people submitted, I always hear this sentence from managers. Yeah, this person doesn't have a super technical skills, but you can learn technical skills pretty quickly. At least in AWS, we provide the time to learn technical skills if you don't have at the beginning. Obviously, you need some basics, but sometimes, most of the time, we give you the time to learn new technical skills. But soft skills, these are a bit more, takes more time to teach them or to learn them. So we keep an eye on them, a very important eye, and we give a lot of importance on them. So not just technical skills, but also soft skills are very important in a role like the technical trainer when you deal with people every single day for 6-7 hours a day. This is very important, folks. You can be an evangelist in the technical world, in the tech world, but you need to deal with people, and this is not easy. Then, technical questions, because you get a lot of questions during a technical training, and I didn't specify in the slide answer to technical questions. I said manage. What do you do if you don't know the question? This is an art, managing the questions you don't know. You have to provide a kind of first answer to the student. Look at the answer, maybe if you don't know the answer at the moment, later. Decide if you try to find the answer in front of your class by sharing the screen. Let's have a look together to the documentation. I'm going to show you how to find the answer. Let me try to do this with the service and see together if the service can do that. Or let me just park the question. I'm going to answer to this question later. I'm going to find the question later for you. So, and this means managing the question, and is not an easy thing. What about they ask you a question about a service you never heard? It should never happen, but sometimes it happened. Maybe the service was just released the day before and you missed that update. So managing technical questions coming from different perspective, different people, different with different roles, different level of experience. Sometimes they know more than you on certain topics. It's hard, and this is another skill. And obviously, you need to deliver a wide range of courses. So you need to manage your time and be prepared on knowing the technical stuff in each single training you deliver. So you need to take a look every time, the days before the delivery, the material. Be sure you know everything. Be sure your demos work. Be sure you know very well services that last time you didn't know too much because they're new to you, or you realize you didn't know something about the service. So now it's time to review it in order to provide answers to similar questions for your next training. And again, this comes into managing your time. And this is another skill. Sometimes certain people prefer to get from others what they have to do. Not in AWS. In AWS, you are 100% responsible of your time. Okay, folks, I think this is everything. This was everything. And I left at least 10 minutes for questions you might have. I talk about the 2 days, the 2 type of days you have as a technical trainer in AWS. I told you about the challenges you have, and because of them, the type of skills, soft and technical, you should have as a trainer. Any question, folks, you might have for me?
Thank you, Marco. It was a nice walkthrough of what a technical trainer is doing. And obviously there are some questions, so I'll put it on screen and probably you should answer. You answered some of them directly, indirectly, but let me still put those questions on screen. First one is from Sunanda. How the trainer respond to all question of the audience, because not all question will be there in slides. Yeah.
Yeah, again, Sunanda, thank you for the question. Obviously, experience helps you. So, an expert training is also an expert trainer is also a trainer who answered wrongly to a lot of questions, did a lot of mistakes over the years, and training by training, year by year, you improve your experience and your knowledge. So we have a digital instructor guide. We have a dig where we get all the tips as possible from other trainers, the trainers who develop the training for us. And we have the course material in advance, and so we can read the notes in the slides and understand what we should know. But then when we see a slide during a ramp up and we don't know the service in the slide, we just go there to the documentation and we study for it. So if one day you will ask me a question for which I don't know the answer, I will know the answer next time. So this is we just keep studying during our skills acquisition days.
Exactly. And I would add my 2 cents there. Like I always say in my training that, hey, I would try to answer as many as question I can, but I am not Google. So I don't know every answer. But yeah, give me the
Yeah.
question. If I do not know, I have very uh, like colleagues and who are like expert, and we have access to the technical team, so we should be able to get answer. But yeah, there would be situation when I do not know, and I would give situation like handle situation like this by not speculating, not trying to cook up the answer, be very upfront, win customers trust and say, hey, I don't know the answer, give me a few minutes, I'll come back to you. But don't use that come back to you as a distractor. Like you always say come back to you and never come back. That is, now you're killing your repo. So if you say I'm coming back, take your time, note it down, and that person would be waiting for you to come back. So yeah, it happens, we do not know every answer. Thanks for that, Marco. Going to the
Absolutely.
next question, uh, is more on the side of working. Are there any specific areas you need to excel in while you study, or is it your choice? Like it is your prep days.
So it depends. Most of the time is your choice. So based on our experience, most of the time we decide which topics and which path we want to follow. I'm a database guy, so I started with databases, with big data, and all of our big data analytics, and data related trainings. For example, we and Ash have colleagues that are very good developers, and they started their career in AWS as a trainers, more focused on DevOps, advanced developing. So most of the time you decide, but it might happen that in the country I teach the most, there is a lack, for example, for the language we use in that specific country, in my case, Italian, for a specific topic, for a specific area. So someone might say, Marco, we need you studying machine learning. And then you keep studying machine learning. But generally speaking, you follow your path. You decide which path you want to perceive.
Great. Yeah, means I would not disagree from that. So you get a lot of liberty in deciding what you want. Sometimes there would be business priorities. Let's say, hey, we have this training which we never planned for. It is now in high demand. We do not have local speakers, so let's ramp up. So yeah, those happens, but most of the time it is self-driven. Nobody pressurizes you. It always based on your expertise. Sometimes I may not be comfortable in delivering a training even after I study, so they understand it. So that is very understanding team, I would say we are part of. Thanks, Marco. Next one is maybe on the operational side, Marco, that
Mhm.
how does someone become a AWS authorized instructor?
Yeah, basically, Sebastian, this is what I did. So when I joined AWS as a DBA, so totally different role, I became an authorized instructor first. So I basically followed the same process our freelancers and external partner trainers usually follow. And I started this job as an authorized instructor, even if I was an Amazonian. I started as like an external, and then once I saw how the job looked like, I joined the training team. And so now, to be an authorized instructor, you need to have a sponsor. This is an important change that took place recently. So you need to have one of our partner sponsored you and say, we know this person, we know who is this person, and this is an eligible technical instructor, authorized technical instructor. And then if you got the sponsor, you got the okay from AWS, you can start the process. Basically, you start doing trainings, you get access to certain resources that allow you to get some trainings, and you need to spend time during that period to get certified for the solutions architect certification. This is a requirement, and get ready to teach the architecting on AWS training. Once you're ready for these two things, so you are a certified solutions architect and you are prepared, so you ramped up the architecting on AWS training, you can say to us, I'm ready, and you have to pass a one-day workshop. Now it's a one-day workshop. It's like an exam. So there will be me, people like Ash or Q and other colleagues that will evaluate you on certain modules of the architecting on AWS training. So you need a sponsor, then you get into the process, you start learning things, you get certified, if not already certified, and you need to get ready to teach the architecting on AWS, and then you do the workshop. So this is a high-level steps.
Great. Yeah, so we have a dedicated team who takes care of onboarding trainers, and those trainers could be internal, could be external. For external, the requirement is you have to work with a sponsor. You may not be directly on their payroll, it depends from sponsor to sponsor, but they have to say that, hey, we believe this person can be a trainer. We have gone through his or her profile, and they would put your name forward to AWS. AWS will then give you access to resources. You prepare based on resources, appear into an exam or like a teaching day, and based on your result, you become AAI, and you'll get that status for a specific period of time. You need to maintain some quality standards, like you should always be getting some specific percentage of feedback or highest rating on specific areas. If you lose that, probably there would be a period where they would again try to help you out, but if it doesn't maintained, then probably you would lose your status. It's same like there is a time period and then some expectation in terms of CSAT, customer satisfaction, and some delivery days which you have to deliver. Good, thank you. Keeping on moving to next questions. What is the next one? Uh, Next is, give me a minute. Okay, I'm trying to look at material. Is there a single marketable skill? Sorry, somehow hide it. Let me give this question again. Is there a single marketable skill you would suggest your trainers learn? Yeah.
Is there thank you, Dylan. Is there a single marketable skill you will suggest your trainers learn? Well, as I said during the presentation, Dylan, I will divide them into technical and soft. And about soft skills, if you are not a trainer and you never been in a class, obviously some of these soft skills will only be acquired once you will get involved in training. So maybe as a training assistant, many of us started as a training assistant, and then maybe after some training, so you start to teach some stuff, and then you lead an entire class for an entire training. But being in a class and manage an audience, this is stuff that you cannot study from anywhere unless you get experience on the field. I always recommend and suggest to be ready on public speaking skills, because these are very, very important. How to be nice and engaging on stage. These are important. They will be useful also during your interview. In interviews, communication skills are very important, and especially for a training role, you need to be a good communicator. When we ask you during the interview to present a module and you are boring, or there is a lot of silence, or you just say a lot, using a lot of filler words, so this is a bad sign for us. These are public speaking skills that you need to have. And then for the technical ones, hard to say, because in our team we are many in Europe and Middle East, for example. There are people like me, for example, that started with as expert in a specific field, so the database guy, and then in this case you study also other stuff, but you can add value. You add for sure value during the trainings if you are an expert in that field, right? When I teach databases, data analytics, trainings and stuff like this, obviously I bring my experience in the room. But this is not necessarily. There are trainers that are not vertical on a specific topic. They just ramped up our courses, study the technologies underneath, and they are very good trainers. So I will say basic knowledge about IT in general, more technical areas, Dylan, better is. For example, I'm not too good in machine learning. I know that. I don't teach machine learning courses, so everyone has his own or her own how can I say, not skill, the opposite, weakness. I'm not a developer, but I acquire development skills over the years by studying developing stuff on AWS. So for sure, more stuff in a more technical context, better will be, I would say.
Nice. Now I am taking up another question. This is interesting one from Prashant. As a trainer, since you are not directly involved working with customer, how do you know the real life customer issues that can be used to explain some concept to the audience?
Yeah, thank you, Prashant. So I will say two things. So first of all, as I told you, sometimes happen that trainers have experience on the field. Many trainers used to be architects, developers, analysts, or administrators. In that case, you bring in the class the experience you got from the past. I worked for more than 10 years in an operational world, so I know what are the problems that operational problems that people have in IT. Obviously, I agree with you. If it seems to me that there is this consideration in your question, I agree with you that trainers don't are not direct involved in on the field in working stuff. This is a problem. Yes, this is another challenge. I will add to our job. We sometimes we talk about stuff that we never used in production or we never saw running in production. What we can do, first of all, it's important to say that we are trainers. So we are not the solutions architect. We are not developers, administrators, and most of the time I say that at the beginning of a training. I'm not here to give you a consultancy. I'm not here to solve your production issues. In theory, you should not know anything about the technology you're looking for, right? If you are in a Amazon SageMaker training, you should not know about Amazon SageMaker. And then I'm here to tell you what Amazon SageMaker is. Then you will start working with it, and you will talk to an SA when you will have problems with it. But word is not black and white. I know that working life is never easy, and word is various, and because of that, is nice. So we get people already with experience on the field that sometimes bring their problems into the class. This is a challenge that you, as a trainer, you need to manage. Sometimes you say, I don't know. Thank you for the feedback you put in the class, you brought into the class, to sharing the feedback with us. I never worked with this service in production, and I can ask to some colleagues and see if I got some considerations based on your feedback. I can give you an answer if I will find it. We have resources. After a day, I can talk to an architect, a friend of mine, and ask to him or her, look, a student is complaining about this service. Are these complaints real? Is this something you will suggest to him or her? And then I come back to the day after to the training and I say, look, I talked to an expert and this is what I could say. This is my answer.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And like in the interest of time, Marco, do you have a few more minutes or should we wrap it up?
Yeah. I have other minutes.
Few more minutes. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So I want to pick up few more questions and they are very interesting and thanks everyone for these things. Now this one is interesting also from Pawan. For a mixed audience who are technical in business, what is your strategy for training while delivering a technical topic such as AWS services? So we have mixed audience here.
Yeah, it's an art. as Ashish might say, is an art. It depends by what are the percentages. Obviously, for example, I give you an example. You need to teach running containers on EKS, 300 level training. So advanced training. You have 2 business people out of 20. In that case, I deliver the training to the 18 people. But for sure, I will talk immediately to the 2 business people. I will set up expectation and I will say, look, feel free to stay, but this is a 300 level training. This is about containers. We're not covered the basic of AWS. These are the prerequisites. Feel free to stay, but it's possible that you might find it challenging attending this training. So sometimes when you're lucky and the situation is so clear and so unbalanced, you just set up expectations and you clearly talk to people. For sure, setting expectation is the best. When I start to deliver a training, I say what's the level of the training, what are the prerequisites, and what you should know already to be here and get the best from the training experience. What else? If most of the people are beginners, let's say, or non too techy, well, I spend the time on the basics. So it's possible that I will not deliver the entire training, but I will take some time from certain advanced topics, and I will use that time on basic topics. I will slow down the pace of the training. I will show more basic stuff, and I will talk slowly, asking for more often for questions if there are doubts, doing more recaps, stuff like that. So I will try to help as much as possible the beginners if I have more beginners in the room. If you have business people, generally speaking, pay attention to use the right language. I think the magic that happens in your mind is that you always have in your mind the two type of audience. You should never forget about the two type of audience, the tech audience and the non-tech audience. So when you are talking about something complex, after you finish, you immediately say, oh, there is also the non-tech audience. So you say, you finish a topic and then you say, okay, is it clear also for the others? John, Ash, Mark, did you follow me? Anything you want me to repeat? Is everything clear? Or after the break, I reach out to the non-techy person and I talk to them privately. Did you understand the last module? Was it too much? Do I have to slow down? Sometimes you enrich your talk with an analogy, with a simple example, with you make your language a bit more simple and less techy. So you try to make everyone's happy. It's not easy, as I said. And if the audience is very unbalanced, you usually take a decision and decide to who you want to take the training, you deliver the training. Hope it was clear, Pawan, but it's, as I said, is the most important challenge you have to face as a trainer.
Great. One more, Marco, and this is second last. I would take one more last question afterward in the respect of time. So how do you manage to retain when you have so much to learn? Does AWS trainer follow any framework for brain to retain this much new tech rolling out very often?
No, I'm not aware of trainings like this. So first of all, if you Raj are new to AWS, you will see that when you will start to study our services. But once you start to study the services of a cloud provider, you see the pattern. You start to see a lot of stuff in common among each single service. And it makes it much easier remember a new service, study a new service, or remember things you studied about another one in the past. Because now, if for example, I have to study a new database service, and I read the documentation, I immediately see the pattern. I see, oh, okay, it's monitored by Amazon CloudWatch. It's supported CloudTrail, so audited is by CloudTrail. Okay, this is the pricing page. It's very similar to the RDS one. Oh, it's fully managed like Aurora. It has this that is similar to this. And you just spend the time on studying the new stuff, but you take less time than before. So many services have a lot of stuff in common. You will see that. And about to remember it, my personal tip is write very good notes. So I don't just study things. for trainings. For every training I study, I have my notes, and I always point out the things I don't know very well, the things, the demos I would like to improve, the demos I don't have, the ones I have, generic high-level description of every module, because after 3 months, if I have to deliver that training again, I just take a look at my notes and say, oh, these are 3 services. Last time I had the issues, so let me study just those 3. And I don't remember how the training starts. Let me see the high-level description of module 1. So you need to have a structure on your notes. This is my personal suggestion. Everyone learns in different ways, but mine is having good structure. I write a lot digitally, but I write a lot.
Great, great. And
Yeah.
like, this is not a question, but a add-on. Richard is here. Richard, why are you on that side of the webinar? You should be on this side. So Richard is our
Yeah.
colleague, and he is like spying on us, I would say. But a very valid point, Richard, here. Probably next time you would be on this side, and we'll share that. But you don't mind, yeah. With a mixed audience, it is important to have an understanding of what each person is looking for your course. For example, a project manager might be just looking to understand terminology and general use cases. Yeah, exactly. That is well said, Richard. So, yeah, see, you are there to deliver a training, and there are people to attend the training. What is the intention? Maybe somebody want to pass a certification. Maybe somebody want to do a next project, or maybe somebody is just there because their manager asked them to attend. So, knowing that intention is important. That what he or she is trying to get out of it. So expectation is very important, as Marco said, as Richard mentioned, look for who is it and what they are looking for. So that would help you in those situations. Thanks,
Absolutely. Yeah.
nice one. Thank you. Then we have
Absolutely.
a last question here. Like it is from Sunanda, and let me put it on screen
Yeah. And
in
hi,
a minute.
Richard.
Yeah.
Happy to having you here. Sunanda, in AWS webinars, I often find trainers to provide the same slides again and again. So is there any template provided before giving training? I mean, AWS provides a template for training. Yes. So we have a team, it's called the curriculum team, who develops the slide decks for us. And we trainers, me, Richard, Ash, Q, are selected for every new training to help the curriculum team to build the slides and the training. So even if you didn't join, you weren't part of the development of a course, of a new training. If you want to ramp it up, you just get the deck, the slides that are made by someone else. So this is a good point, Sunanda, because many speakers, many technical speakers, make their own slide and deliver their own slide. And this is not a benefit. This is a pleasure that we don't have. When I deliver sessions like this, when I can write my own slide, I feel so happy, because when you are a speaker, you want to you think about what you want to say in a talk, and then you develop the slides accordingly. But when we ramp up for a training, we have to do the opposite thing. We get the slides and then we say, okay, how should I teach this? How should I describe this slide? I should explain this concept. So this is another good question, Sunanda. I forgot to say that. During the ramp up, we need to prepare ourselves in the way we will teach the content that we got from someone else. So we don't develop slides, we don't touch them.
Yeah, and if you missed it, like Sunanda, check session from last BESA program. We had Julie Ilkin. She is into technical curriculum development team. She talked about how the course development process works. So should be giving you idea about that. So thanks everyone. That is so good to hear from you, Marco. And I
Thank you.
hope everyone has enjoyed and learned something new. So reach out to us if some question remain unanswered. Thank you so much, and we will hopefully be seeing you next week, and we'll be understanding more technical topic. We are open to feedback. Anything which you feel we could do differently, anything which makes your life better, anything which makes your journey to AWS a little more helpful, let us know, and we will try to accommodate as much as we can. And if you liked it, please show some love to Marco, send him more connection request, maybe put his name on to your LinkedIn post and say, hey, you learned something from him. It would encourage more people to be here and share their knowledge with you. So thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you into next section. Thank you, Parna. Thanks, Marco. Thank you, Richard. And people dropped off. Abhinandan was here. He dropped off. But yeah, thanks, everyone. And we'll see you into next section. Take care. Bye.